What is up, guys? Welcome into the Creed of Crypto podcast, where we provide immersive, essential, and evergreen strategies for the novice cryptocurrency investor. How you doing? I am one half of your host, Boi Crypto. I have here with me, as always, Crypto Ewok. We've got a great show for you tonight, jam-packed. We got Shanghai ETH upgrade. We've got a lower than expected inflation number, CPI, coming in at about 5% today. And a little bird told me that BTC crossed 30K a couple of days ago, leading up into that CPI reading. It is 2023, and say what you will about it, it is a hell of a lot better than 2022 in crypto so far. So welcome in. If you are here, smash the like, hit subscribe. If you're watching on my channel, Boi Crypto, or at Crypto Ewok 5555, we're happy to have you. You can see on the thumbnail tonight, a main theme we're going to talk about is, since things are so bullish right now, how exactly high can we go here for some of the key coins in 2023? It's going to be an interesting conversation. But first, I want to welcome in my friend and co-host, Crypto Ewok. Ewok, how you feeling tonight?
Doing good, man. Another hump day, another week down. Charts are looking good. Shanghai went down without a flaw. So yeah, lots of bullish things. Didn't hurt the market, which I was, pleasantly surprised to see that no one has really sold a whole lot yet of everything that they've withdrawn. So yeah, all in all, pretty good week.
And it's interesting because we actually haven't even really broached Shanghai upgrade on ETH that much on here. And I think because it was going to be, we thought probably another nothing burger, kind of like back when the merge happened in September of 2022. I mean, it was something that people, even though we were clearly in an extremely bearish time at that time, little did we even know at that moment, because November is what really was bad. But, we were saying that the ETH merge would be a sell the news event. It certainly was. It seems so weird to say this now, because as we sit here at this moment, ETH is at about 1,900. But ETH actually went to over 2,000 before the merge last year. But prior to FTX, prior to all that stuff. So just a crazy thing to think about. But as we sit here with you right now, we've got BTC at just under 30K. It looks like at about 29.9 right now. ETH, as I said, at 19.19, and Hex sitting at about 7.25 cents. It has been hovering around that 7-cent mark after a bit of a healthy dip here over the last couple of weeks, which we are going to get into. Certainly, I bought, full disclosure, I bought Hex over the weekend right at 7 cents, so I was happy about that for sure.
Nice deal for you.
Nice little bag. But let me ask you this, Ewok. So we'll get into the CPI crap and what it may mean for the macro economy here and the FOMC and blah, blah, blah here in a few minutes. But about the performance of this market right now overall, BTC, ETH, obviously, any other tokens that we care about, which are primarily going to be Hex. What do you say about this action? I mean, for the longest time, it was 25K. Anybody that was left bearish I shouldn't say anybody. Many people that were left bearish at the beginning of this year going into March were saying, I want to see multiple days or a week close above 25.5K. And then I'll say the lows are in and that we're in a new cycle and a new bull market, And let me make clear, anybody watching, like when I say a bull market, I don't mean that we're about to hit new all-time highs. I just mean the reversal of the price action, that we're in a different type of market now. The primary trend is up. That's all I mean by that.
Yep.
Then people were saying, well, anybody that didn't believe 25.5, it was like 28K. If we start closing above there, hey, it's all over. Then the next level would have been 30. Well, we've now seen BTC up above 30 intraday. I believe it's already closed above 30 at least one day, maybe two. And we're sitting right there right now. What do you think about the strength of this market right now, Ewok? I thought maybe it was a bit of a fake out pump leading into CPI, and then maybe we would get maybe a lackluster reading and go right back down. Got a good reading, and I think people maybe priced it in. I mean, sometimes it takes a few days to see where the market really heads after this, but BTC's kind of just held up right where it is. So what do you make about the strength in this? And, I'm not really challenging you anymore about, like, do you think the lows are in or not? But I would like to get your point on, what do you think about the overall market? What do you think the short-term outlook is here for BTC and the rest of the market?
Yeah, it's looking good. Very bullish. Like you said, we hit those levels of that I was even looking for. And, it was one of the things that I said, well, if it does this, I'll probably change my mind. And sure enough, it did. You know, we're seeing it bust through the 22, then 23, then 25. You know, all of these levels have different, you know, support or resistance involved with them. Then we got up to the 28.5 mark, which was a lot of chopping, and it really couldn't get through there. And then
Mhm.
when it really kind of just busted through, as you can see here, went right up through and into that 30,000. Now I see the next level of some good support, possibly resistance. At one point was the 31,800 area here. So we'll see what happens. If it can break through that, then, you know, look out, because there isn't a whole lot after that for a while. You know, we have a
Yeah.
couple lower levels up around 34, 35, but yeah, it's the overall strength is looking pretty good. There isn't a whole lot of volume, which is kind of strange. You know, the volume went
Mhm.
way down, but yet we're still going up. So, you know, that's one of those things where you kind of got to be careful. If there's not a lot of volume and it is going up, what's going on? And I think a lot of that may have to do with a lot of people that self-custodied wallets. You know, maybe there isn't as much trading going on in some of these major exchanges. I haven't looked at the overall numbers and see how much they've declined, or how much is in the order books. But you know, when people start to fear exchanges and things like that, they start to take their money off and self custody, which, you know, they're not placing little orders, and a lot of places kind of felt the heat coming down for the wash trading, so maybe some of that has stopped as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot involved with this little run up. Not to mention that the banks are failing, and people want a safe place to put their crypto, or at least safer than something that's going to go out of business. We all know Bitcoin, Ethereum, these coins are not going to go out of business, right?
Right.
So, yeah, it's looking like a better and better safe haven every day. So that's what I see. There's a fair amount of strength. Now, like you said, you know, we're not going to jet off up into 40, 50,000 anytime soon. I think it's going to be a slow, methodical play with a couple major pullbacks. Still, I still think that, you know, we could retest some of these lower levels down in here. And then if they bounce, then, you know, then look out, because who knows what could happen after that.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you wholeheartedly. It's just been, you know, there's really, I don't think there's much of a narrative anybody could look at with any kind of bearish sentiment anymore. And anybody that somehow still is, um, all I can say is like they really have to be leaning on some kind of a, you know, basically dependent upon a new black swan event of some sort, you know, which I don't know why, you know, logically you would do that. I guess it really is just goes to show how powerful a year like 2022 and all the horrible shit that we saw happen can really
Yeah.
stick in somebody's craw and in your mind.
Yep.
And yeah, you just get in that kind of, you know, bearish news sentiment. And, you know, Bitcoin has never seen a macroeconomic, you know, situation like this before, and all those things you can tell yourself. And that's fine, but it may just be like we've talked about before. Maybe it's not the most logical thing ever. Maybe it is, but it might just be time. It might just be the 4-year cycles, the way the cycles work. So, so far it's been panning out that way, much to many people's delight so far, I would say. And I want to ask you this, and I do agree with you, Ewok. Yeah, we were just saying this before we went on the air. Like, 30K is a big number. It's going to get a lot of people, a decent amount of people bullish that are going to FOMO now. I think
Yeah.
like a lot of people at 30 will FOMO. But, you know, we should caution as well. I mean, like, you always want to scale into the market whenever you can, but we should caution as well, like you just said. Yeah, we definitely could still see dips back to, not that it's even that far, but dips to 28, dips to 25, maybe even 24 or something like that. And I think throughout this year of 2023, which we have long called the accumulation year, like you said, much like 2019, we're going to have that one step forward, two steps back, or two step forward, one step back, or blah, you know, whatever. And it's going to freak some people out. And, you know, the disbelief rallies, basically, you know.
Yep. Yep.
And I think you're right. I think we're going to see that. So, you know, still be looking out for dips, but it's all up to you. Like, if you haven't really gotten yourself into this market and are still sitting in cash, it's just, you know, it's pretty much a mistake, I think, at this point. But you still want to be careful. You're still going to get dips. It is still crypto. So yeah, what do you think about that? I mean, like some of the volatility we could see the rest of this year, even though we are calling it an accumulation year.
Well, yeah, it's definitely accumulation. It's a dollar cost average strategy. It's lining up perfectly. You know, when you see dips, take advantage of them. That's the best way to actually handle them, and that's why they're there and how you can profit the best. I wouldn't again don't do what you want, but my strategy would not be to be like, oh shit, it's time to get all in again because I've missed it, and then a week later you're down because there was a pullback. Pullbacks are natural. It is part of crypto. It's part of the volatility that happens. It's just a matter of taking advantage of them and paying attention to the market. So on those red days that you can take a little chunk and throw it in. It's perfectly fine strategy.
Yeah. Where do you think, looking at the bullish end of things? So we sit here tonight again on April the 12th. Long way to go this year, but what do you think we could be looking at right now? We'll just say for BTC and ETH as far as highs that we could see this year. That's kind of what we put on the thumbnail tonight. We're also going to get into top of bull market. Like we're looking more 2024, 2025, where we think some of these assets could go, including Hex. But for this year, what do you think the high potential of BTC could be?
By year end?
Yeah, I would say within the year 2023. What do you think is the most, I guess, what scenario would you paint as the most bullish that we could see this year?
Most bullish by the end of the year, we could probably get up into 40 or 50,000, I think.
Yeah.
In that vicinity, somewhere between 40 and 50. It wouldn't be shocking, I guess, right here. This one main support level is right around 48,000. Kind of target that as an end of the year run up. Now, the best way to do it is actually measure some of the movements after, the final dip and according to time to kind of see and take that measurement and kind of move it over. But we've talked about this before too, as cycles get older, they get less pronounced, I guess is the best way. Not quite as vicious of a run up or run down. They're a little bit more methodical, and the markets are kind of aging, and it's just part of the growth of a certain coin. So I think we could easily be in that range though by the end of the year. I don't think it would be out of the question to see it possibly tap 50 grand.
I'm pretty much with you 100%. I think, I definitely think we can get into the 40s by the end of the year. And I think, the high end, I think, would be around 50, just because, like you said earlier, just looking at the chart and the history of Bitcoin, there is a lot of room to run up there around those numbers. So it is going to be, like you said, it isn't something that's going to happen overnight. And I do think, like we said, 30K is such a pivotal level and something, we haven't been there for over a year at this point. So I think people are about a year anyway, I believe. So I think that there's going to be a lot of people, again, FOMOing in right now. But do remember, I mean, it is still 2023. We're not totally out of the woods. We don't have, Tom Brady, Matt Damon commercials on the Super Bowl or anything like that. But we're in an upward trajectory. So it's not to poo-poo anything, but it is a good year. But just make sure you're careful as you do DCA into this market for sure. So
and as more people get into the market, people like to buy when it's high. It's just one of those things that people do. And FOMO is a real thing. When you start to see it running away, that's when everybody wants to get in. They don't like to buy when it's low and everything's on sale. So that could definitely create an exponential rise, so to speak. But again, I think it's going to be a little bit slower, a little bit longer played out. And we should be on target for that.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's definitely going to be a good year indeed. Just be careful with how you get into the market. But looking at this recent price action, so big pump going into the CPI reading, which is the core inflation percentage that we got released this morning. Again, I thought it was going to be one of those pumps going into it where then we got maybe a lackluster number and dip right back down. Just because once you see these cycles enough, once you see enough of the, us being so dependent upon macroeconomics, you kind of get used to that idea. Well, we actually pumped, got over 30K, got a good quote unquote CPI reading, according to what they're saying anyway, at about 5%, which actually came in below what I guess everybody was pricing in, which I don't even know what that was. But anyway, we got a good number according to people. And yeah, the price hasn't, flown up necessarily past that even more in reaction, although sometimes it takes a couple of days to do that, but we've still pretty much held right around this 30K number. So this kind of, instead of just looking at price based off the CPI reading, looking at the macroeconomic stuff as a whole and what the Fed may do going forward and things like that. What do you think, Ewok, with this number, with inflation coming down, things starting to look a little bit better? At the next FOMC, which I've already looked up, is now going to be May. I don't know why my stupid camera keeps going, so I'll fix that in a minute. But May 2nd and 3rd, I believe. Yeah, 2nd and 3rd is the next meeting. What do you think Powell and the rest of the people there will do? I mean, do you think that we are going to continue to raise rates, maybe one final time at a 25 basis point hike? Do you think that they stop entirely, or do you think that they pivot and actually cut, which I personally don't think they'll do that? But seeing these numbers getting better, seeing with the way these markets are going and where things are going in the world, what do you kind of expect at that next FOMC meeting here in about 3 weeks based on the CPI data?
I think we're going to see, I still think we're going to see two more 25 point increases, just because I think they want to be sure that they're getting there. And yeah, two more. So what does that put the date of the second one? Do you know offhand?
I have the article up. It is June 13th and 14th. So that'd be about another 6 or so weeks past the May one.
Yeah. So I could see two more 25 point increases, and then they stop. I don't think they pivot and lower for a little bit longer after that. So maybe another 2 months or so before they start to lower things back down. I don't think they're in that type of position yet after all the money that they've printed to bail the banks out here in the last few months. So I could see two more increases. Just my opinion. What are you thinking? Just one?
I think that's about what I would say. Yeah, I think we'll see one more 25-point rate hike here. I think Powell will probably, because sometimes it's not just the what they decide to do, but how Powell sounds in his press conference afterwards. I think we'll probably get him sounding like pretty dovish about things, sounding like he's gonna pull the reins back on this thing. And yeah, I could see them pivoting by June. Now, after the June meeting, they meet at the end of July, so it's basically just. We've got May 2nd and 3rd. We've got June 13th and 14th, July 25th and 26th, and then almost a 2-month gap to September. So certainly I would say by July, we will know the new trajectory that we are on. I think agree. Like by then, because then you're talking the whole rest of the summer heading into the fall. I will say that we will definitely have stopped raising rates and or begun cutting rates by that July 25th meeting, like for sure. Yeah, just to kind of get some clarity on that. But it's going to be interesting. And, I think we're all kind of sick of even following this stuff. And I think we're going to get our wish. I mean, like as they do start to cut them. But I think it's a good lesson too, though, to people that, maybe are just crypto investors that don't pay attention to macroeconomics or what might be going on in the stock market or whatever else. I think it's a good lesson to really know what is going on with this stuff, in real estate. It's really good to know all of these markets to give you an idea, because crypto and the acceleration of this bubble is not going to be around forever at the rate that it is. So it's good to be aware of all markets, certainly I think we're in the best one right now with the most gains, clearly, but you want to make sure of all markets. I know you and I have talked about like real estate in the future and things like that, and it's something that we're interested in. But I think it's good to be like well rounded with all that stuff. So
Yeah, and we you talk about the best gains, but don't forget we have the biggest losses too. So some of the hardest crashes come with crypto just as well as the massive gains do. So yeah, you got to pay attention to everything a little bit. You if especially if you want to diversify down the road after you've made it a nice cycle or two, and came into some profits, then it would probably be good to diversify a little bit. So you should know what's going on. Now they're all on different cycles. I've heard the real estate, is still coming down. That it probably hasn't bottomed yet.
Right.
That could happen late this year, which would be pretty good. We get some nice gains out of crypto, able to diversify some of that into some lower real estate positions at that point. It could be a really, really nice bull market of 2024 then after that.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely have the bull vibes coming. And I think we should transition into this ETH Shanghai upgrade thing. So again, we haven't talked about it too much, but if you guys are here and enjoying the stream so far, we're going to get into the more juicy stuff and some more price calls as we head into the next bull cycle here. But hit the like if you're here. We very much appreciate it. Sub to each one of our channels. And thank you for watching. But in terms of this ETH Shanghai upgrade, so basically it's a mechanism where it would allow people that have had this staked ETH for the last couple of years to unstake it, which has caused many people, predictably, to think that we're going to see a big negative or some downwards price action on ETH, a big sell-off. So far, this just took place, it was like an hour ago, a couple hours ago. We have this habit of like some big piece of news happening right before we go on the air, it seems
we picked a good weekly day to stream. We get a lot of things on Wednesdays, it seems like. But yeah, it was just about 2 hours ago.
It was about 2 hours ago, and so far, now again, it just happened, but it has been kind of a sell the news event. I mean, ETH hasn't seen any downwards pressure, but just to kind of illustrate this for everybody, and then I want to get into some of the details you were telling me, Ewok. But basically, so staking withdrawals are going to be unlocked. Institutions will be able to stake and earn a yield. Hold on a second. I'm reading about after the upgrade. So investors may be scared off from the idea that the Shanghai upgrade could cause a large sell-off of ETH, some of which has been staked since 2020. So yeah, right, a little over 2 years.
Yep.
However, data suggests this analysis is overstated, which it's kind of the theme here. So some interesting stuff here. So Crypto Quant has noted that 60% of the staked ETH supply, this is from CoinDesk, or approximately 10.3 million ETH, is currently at a loss. So not an overwhelming majority, but the majority of the staked ETH is still at a loss. So that could be clue number one to me to say, I don't know if these people will sell it. I mean, they've already had it locked up for a pretty worthless APY, for a couple of years. Would you want to sell it at a loss? But also, meanwhile, Lido DAO, the largest Ethereum staking provider, holds 30% of all staked ETH at an average loss of $1,000. Typically, selling pressure arises when participants have large profits, which is not the case for staked ETH currently. Now that's the majority, I would say, of staked ETH.
And here's another one too. Coinbase, Kraken, and Binance control another 22%. So here it says Lido has 23%, Coinbase, Kraken, and Binance has 22%. So right there is 45% of all of it controlled by those four entities, pretty much.
Yeah.
Don't see them selling. And when it did unlock, there was what was it, 5,413, which ETH, which is about $10 million worth, that had been withdrawn. But again, no sell pressure. So it's a good thing. You're right. People are at a loss. I don't really think they have any interest in selling at this point.
Yeah, why would you? And I mean, also Ethereum has been so hot recently and held up so well at the end of this bear market. So they already, even if they're newer to crypto, it's still, a positive sign to see that it hasn't really. I mean, you're just looking at like a BTC drop, and you've probably been earning 4 to 5% on your ETH during that time. Not that, I mean, we would never do that, of course. It's not kind of a pennies in front of a freight train type of deal there. But more from this CoinDesk article, though. So furthermore, as reported by Sentiment, nearly 90% of all supply of ETH is in self-custody. So holders of crypto have been increasingly moving forward with self-custody since September 2022. Gee whiz, what a surprise. When the FTS exchange collapsed in November, the trend accelerated, leading to a massive drop in ETH supplies on exchanges. This reduces immediate sell pressure as capital moves to the sidelines, and future sell-offs are expected to be limited. So, yeah, I mean, we're not really seeing much of a sell-off, and I don't know if we really have reason to believe that there will be one. I guess I could get why major players and major investors that are kind of, not really crypto people to begin with, that suddenly want to have an ETH allocation coming up, which will happen in this bull run. I mean, as much as we all love Ethereum and so many things happen on Ethereum, there is going to be a day where it is, Bitcoin light. And all I mean by that is in terms of the gains slowing down. I mean, we're already heading on to the third cycle of Ethereum. It is going to become one of those blue chips. Many people out there right now already are accepting it as a the only legitimate things in crypto are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like, there's already people saying that. So, yeah, get ready for the ETH gains to slow down. But what else do you make of this upgrade, Ewok? And I think I know the answer to this, but I mean, what interest would you have in actually staking ETH or anything like that? Or what do you see for the future of ETH and how it might react in this bull market?
So if I did it myself, I would have to have 32 Ethereum, which I don't have, and I would never allocate that much in Ethereum. The good news, as far as I'm concerned, is PulseChain can now fork that into their code.
I was thinking the same thing today.
That was one of the things that Richard had said. We don't know when Shanghai will happen. I don't know if it was how long ago that they scheduled to do it today. But if it would be successful, how it would work, he said. But once it is launched, we will definitely include it. That was one of the things with staking the validators for PulseChain, was that there was an unclear amount of time that if it did launch, prior to now, that they wouldn't have known when you would be able to withdraw. So, it's a good thing they can get it in the code before it even launches. Another great update. We've got the Uniswap v3 version. So there's a lot of updates that are actually happening, which is another reason for the version 4 release. So, but let's not get there yet. Back to the Ethereum thing. I mean, I wouldn't allocate that much. I just wouldn't do it. There's not for between 4 and 6%. It's just not worth it. So
absolutely not. No.
There goes my camera again too. So we both having some camera issues.
Couple of camera issues, but we'll muddle our way through it. But to follow up on your point, so in case anybody was alarmed or didn't know what Ewok meant by that 32 ETH thing right there. So basically, and I'll just take this off CoinDesk too, since it's better said than what I would say. As cryptocurrency continues to evolve, investors are constantly seeking new ways to accumulate more Ether, obviously. Currently, yields on liquid staking provider Lido sit at 5.4 APR. There is also the option, as Ewok alluded to become a solo validator on the ETH network, which requires users to invest 32 ETH. So kind of a lot there that you'd have to be a validator. Others choose boutique systems, such as an investing ETH-denominated quantitative hedge funds, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to worry about that.
Again, but before you go any further, don't forget that involves you giving your coins to somebody else and hoping that they pay you. So keep in mind it's not recommended. Just like any lending platform that you're putting your keys into, don't do it. Pennies in front of freight trains. We kind of talked about that earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's not something that I don't think anybody should be staking their Ethereum anywhere they can do it. Now, Lido is actually like a DeFi platform, so I do understand that. But still, even that, I mean, if it's going to give me inflexibility with Ethereum is still a very highly appreciating asset. I still don't really want to have it locked if I can avoid it. Now, if it's liquid staking like that, then that's pretty much okay as long as it's DeFi. But other than that, you also want to have some flexibility. And to me, 5% isn't really that worth it. Is it for you? You'll have to make that call for yourself. But as Ewok can attest, we have many DeFi opportunities out there where you can earn yield easily in upwards of 15% up to nearly 40% with a particular token we'll be talking about here shortly. But yeah, there's a lot out there. We're not even just talking about Hex. I mean, you can find this on a lot of DeFi tokens. I mean, even something that is, as old school and people might think it's boring and stuff, and I can't disagree, but Polkadot, you get their fearless wallet and you just stake it for 16 to 18%, just DeFi, So there's many ways to do that with tokens that are legitimate, have a purpose, have people behind them, that are going to appreciate, in my opinion, better than Ethereum will. So
exactly.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much covers it. Did you have anything else on the Shanghai upgrade?
Nope. But I was going to read this question, and while we're moving on, he can type the next question. It says, "Hello guys, really appreciate what you do for the community. Wanted to see if I can make a question about an airdrop." So ask your question and we'll get to it.
Yeah. He hit us with what the airdrop is. Hopefully it's not Arbitrum. Hopefully it's a different kind of airdrop. But hit us up in there and we'll get to it. I want to get to real quick, and what was his name? Gabe. Anybody else that is in the chat tonight, hit the like if you're enjoying the stream. We very much appreciate it. We're going to talk a little bit about PulseChain right now, and maybe that's the airdrop he was talking about. It is the world's biggest airdrop, if I am not mistaken. And I want to ask you, because you just alluded to it. We haven't talked about this in a while, Ewok, but that Uniswap upgrade, the new Uniswap version, which is coming. I'm definitely interested in those details, as even a holder of the Uni token myself too, here and there. But so the other day, and somebody said this on Twitter, and I agreed that it seemed interesting. Oh, it was Crypto Heartbeat. Richard Hart had tweeted the other day about asking everybody what he thinks the pulse to PulseX ratio will be at the end of day one of like ratio trading, where everything will be. And I think it was Crypto Heartbeat said something to the effect of like, well, I don't know, but if this is the question that you're asking right now, that makes me feel like things are really close. We've been sitting here talking about how close things could be for about a year and a half. So
maybe longer.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But obviously, for the last couple of months, Richard has been way more. He was basically dark for a little while, has been way more active on Twitter, tweeting about all kinds of legislative government stuff, but also tweeting, obviously, lots of PulseChain updates, which, anybody who's salty about it or salty about V4 and blah, 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 just, that's not really the kind of reaction you're going to get from us. It is coming. He even apologized for calling V3 the final test net I saw the other day.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress. I shouldn't say that. There are little things that he can tweak to make it absolutely perfect. And something he said also, which I agree with wholeheartedly, he gets off on and loves to brag about Hex 100% uptime. And I understand that if you're newer to crypto and you maybe get annoyed with him saying that all the time or don't understand the importance of it, everything goes down in this business. You know what I mean? Solana, one of the crappiest, L1s that there are, backed by Sam Bankman-Fried, the blockchain never works. You're going to get stuff like that all the time. And Richard heralds himself on creating stuff that doesn't go down. So anyway, I ask you, Ewok, what did you make of him talking about like the ratio tweets? Do you think that's indicative of anything being close? And just overall, what's your opinion about how close Pulse is as we talk here on April the 12th?
I think it's very close. I mean, obviously, we're going to probably see the V4 testnet soon, sooner rather than later, I would think. But I'm not sure why we haven't yet. It's kind of interesting that he announced it, but still we haven't seen anything with it. They're probably still running it in private, which that's how they usually run those testnets. Is the private version before they roll it out to everybody. Could be, again, knowing Shanghai was coming, they wanted to add that too. Just make everything, as the best they can to bang on it. And hopefully, the Uniswap V3 is in there. Shanghai is in there. The validator adjustment that they had to make so that people would at least make some profit, because the way it was set before, there wasn't a whole lot of incentive to be a validator. Now that they've adjusted it for the inflation portion, it's looking better. It's looking like a better percentage, more comparable to Ethereum. The first several year or so, probably you're not going to be in huge profit. It's going to be a labor of love type thing to run a validator, because you're not going to make a whole lot. So, but just owning a piece to be able to help secure the network, there's a lot of people that are interested in that. If Alex does put something out, and I could buy one for a little over $1,000, I might do it too. We'll see. It depends on how plug and play it really is, because I don't know a whole lot about the Ubuntu and the Linux stuff that that it would probably require to start from scratch. So,
right.
But yeah, no, I think we're rather close. Like I said, I think they want to get those last couple updates in there. And you're right, he does brag about the 100% flawless uptime. It's one of the things that, if you can say that in this world of the Solanas getting shut off, and all the problems with a lot of other chains that launch just to hurry up and launch, it's another good bragging point. Richard is in this for the glory. I don't know how many times he has to say it for people to believe him, but it's the truth, and that's why he wants to release it as operational and fully operational and functional as he can.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And if it has to take, at this point, with how far we are into this whole thing, I mean, like people that are in the Hex ecosystem and the PulseChain, Richard Hart ecosystem are the most loyal fever pitch community in crypto. So, he clearly has shown, and he showed it throughout 2022, that he doesn't really care about pissing off, a chosen few who do not want to wait that long. I mean, he's just not worried about it. So,
Nope.
well,
that's another thing too. It washes out extra hands, the
right.
lettuce soy boy hands that don't deserve to hold it anyway, or get that free copy.
Yeah, and again, we've talked about this ad nauseum, I think, but like it comes back to having that, like, I don't want to say venture capitalist, but kind of that kind of mindset. Like when you sacrifice for these tokens, which again you sacrificed for a year and a half ago, almost 2 years at this point for PulseChain. It is people that are venture capitalists or angel investors wait a couple of years to get any kind of return back a lot of times, or actually get access to those funds again. So you have to look at it that way. And if you're in a really uncomfortable place, then that should just teach you for the future that you sacrificed too much and went a little bit too far. So let's return to Gabe's question since we're on the topic. I think I kind of answered it for him. I think
you did too.
A little confused, but go ahead.
Yeah, no. So it says, are people that sacrifice for PulseX going to get a free copy? The reason I ask is because I clearly remember seeing video of RH stating this, but also when I checked the ERC airdrop checker, I saw all my I think ERC 20s, including PulseX. So yeah, the sacrifice checker will show you everything you're going to get a copy of, including your Pulse and your PulseX. Hex will get a free copy. Matic will get a free copy. Shiba Inu will get a free copy. But because
Jesus Coin,
Jesus Coin, all of the good ones, probably 5,000 of them, you will get a free copy. But because Pulse and PulseX are new, there is no such thing as a copy. That's what people sacrificed for. So those are the new tokens that will be issued upon launch of that network. So I hope that explains your question and makes it a little easier to understand.
Maybe it's just semantics for them that we're maybe getting confused with. Yeah, the actual copies, like duplicates you will get, are of any ERC20 token. So any Ethereum token that you hold right now that's already released, already live, you will get a copy of that. PulseChain and PulseX, that is exclusive to PulseChain. So anything that you sacrifice for there, you will get those tokens there. So Hex, of course, being in that ecosystem, you already own Hex, I assume, Gabe. You own it on the Ethereum blockchain. You're going to get copies of that Hex on PulseChain. And the thing that we've talked about a lot, Ewok, and it's something that's going to be really interesting, is what some of these tokens could do on PulseChain that are not necessarily Richard Heart ecosystem. A lot of people think Hex on Ethereum and Pulse could reach parity very quickly, whether that's just from ETH, the ETH version having a massive sell-off, coming over to PulseChain, whatever it may be, or just both pumping together. I don't know. But a lot of people have wondered what will happen to Cardano on Pulse. Maybe not Cardano, but what will happen to my Ripple? I'm just kind of trolling now, but what will happen to some of these ETH tokens that, like you said, Matic, Dot, whatever, Phantom, that would go over to PulseChain, USDC, for example? Will they be valueless immediately? What could we be looking at here? And I think it's an interesting question because we've talked about this. Ideally, if you're somebody who didn't get the allocation you wanted to, whether through sacrificing or whatever it may be, to PulseChain, to PulseX, to whatever, liquid loans, anything else, and you wanted to get in on them, it might stand a reason to sell off some of those non-RH ecosystem tokens if you're not sure how they'll do over there. I've thought about this. I'm just giving you my thought process because I'll tell you right now, there is no copy other than Hex of any ERC20 token on PulseChain that I would rather have than buying PulseChain or PulseX. So what do you think about that, Ewok? I mean, are these things just going to show up over there, be valueless and never go anywhere? Could we squeeze out a few $100 or something, based on how much people are holding? I mean, what do you think you could be looking at there? And maybe we could use the Ethereum proof of work split before the merge to proof of stake as an example for that.
Yeah, that was a interesting experiment, but there weren't as many supporters as we're going to have on PulseChain. Right now, we've got, probably 150 to 200,000 immediate users once we get over there. That does not include all these other communities that are going to get free coins. So it's going to really depend on how many of them want to come over and play. To see if it holds value or if they reach any kind of parity or anything like that. Back to the one question that you did ask, though, was the ratios. I thought that was kind of interesting. People's answers, they thought, I think that one of the most common that I saw was probably 1 Pulse to 4 PulseX, 1 to 4 ratio for trading purposes. So that'll be interesting to see how it really does play out. Maybe many people didn't want to answer because they didn't want to give their strategy or what they're looking for. Who knows? But I do think there will be some immediate value. I don't think it'll be full value.
Right.
Now, again, it's really going to depend on how long it takes to get the bridge. It's going to take, not to mention if somebody else releases a bridge, which there has been talk of. And I'm going to come out first of all and say that I don't support it because that person has not been able to answer the questions that the Pulse Police brought up. There's a lot of issues, red flags, things like that. So I'm not even going to give the name of it because I don't want to advertise, but I know
I don't even know who this person is. I'm sure maybe, if you guys are watching on replay and are heavily in the Hex ecosystem, who Ewok's talking about, but I do not. So
yeah, well, there's discussion of a kind of faceless person that kind of came out of nowhere that's talking about opening a bridge.
Vampire attack. It's another vampire.
Yeah, kind of. Just be leery of it. Use your best judgment. I'm not going to support it, like I said, or give the name of it. So, but that would tie volume. They're talking about launching pretty quickly. So, I just hope the reason. Here's the thing: Richard is always 2 steps ahead. On a lot of things that he does. And the reason why he wanted to wait at least 48 hours, if not longer, was so that the airdrop could be valueless. So in a lot of jurisdictions, that means no tax implications. 2, there's a lot of other projects that also want to get going to support the network, and they want to launch probably at 0 value as well. So, I don't think he's going to wait forever for them. So they better be on the ball when it goes. If they want a token to launch at 0 value. But, I think that's pretty fair to give 48 hours for people to get up and running and, give their coins and issue things like that and get going. So, it's going to be interesting to see the value that everything holds. It's so up in the air and hard to say because we don't know what the behaviors of all of those other communities are going to be.
Right.
That's the hard part.
Right. To finish off on this, because we were talking about some of the changes that are happening on the Ethereum side that Richard could incorporate into PulseChain. When is and what details do you know of the Uniswap upgrade or the Uniswap update they were doing? I forget what actually was happening with Uniswap this month. Is it actually like a whole new version or what? And it was this month, I thought, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I thought it was the end of March. But so what happens is V1 and V2 were open source, right?
Right.
Able to be copied, everything like that. V3 was not. V3 is the one with the update with the single-sided liquidity and those different additions to V2. That became open source as of, I think, April 1st. Now, I could be wrong on the date. Maybe it was the end of April. I'm not sure. But that is a update that we could easily put into PulseX because, essentially PulseX is our Uniswap. So because they couldn't copy that feature before, that is something they could get added before the launch as well. It makes more sense because when you do it that way, you have different pools of liquidity. And then that's why, so, there's different charts. If you log into V2, there's a different chart than V3. That's why, because of these updates, they had to create separate liquidity pools. So, it would just make it cleaner if it was all included into one. But that's what it is. It just becomes open source. It wasn't an upgrade or anything like that. The software is able to be forked essentially at that time.
I got you. Yeah, I actually just saw Pancake Swap. Apparently, did a fork of Uniswap V3. So
okay, well then
here a couple of weeks or a week ago, actually. So
it maybe is live then.
It sounds like it is. Yeah, that's the first one I saw. So,
and will we see 1 penny pulse? Well, probably not for a couple of years.
Right, not for a while.
Probably 2 years at least. I mean, there may be a wick up there, but it won't stay long. You figure people got it at 0.0001. That's 1,000x, I think, at that point.
Right.
So, maybe is that a 10,000x?
Well, it's not going to be overnight regardless.
No, we won't see it right away. That's the answer.
Exactly. Yeah. That would actually, what you said would only be 100x, but I think it's 4 zeros and a 1, isn't it? Is that what it would be first valued out? Is it 4 zeros and a 1?
Well, it was 10,000 to 1, so it was 1/10,000th, which is only 3 zeros.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that would only be a penny would only be 100x actually. So, unless I did that wrong, which probably did. Yeah, that's only 100x actually. So, either way, though, yeah, it's going to take time. And that's something that people should remember is like as volatile as PulseChain and PulseX will be early on, we're not going to get into the whole ratio trading thing again. We have talked about that a lot, but, I wouldn't be interested in doing that. I would sit back, relax, enjoy the bags that you already have. If you're not happy with what you have, I would be buying Hex now. I mean, that's what I am doing. I would have Hex now, so I get another copy. Every time I buy Hex right now, even at a dip like the 7 cents like this, you're getting it at a good price. You're getting a 2-for-1 deal, and you're getting it on PulseChain. So just remember that. And if you want to use that to dump it and get into PulseChain or PulseX on the other side, you can, or just, continue to build dry powder, whatever you would like to do. But I think we can agree, Walk, that the less amount of action will be the better come launch time. So
sure. Yep. And I did hear the other day something, I don't know that it's been talked about too much, but for the people that did sacrifice for PulseX but not Pulse, pretty sure you get a little Pulse at launch just for sacrificing to PulseX so that you have transactional value and some gas. So that's a nice
that's awesome
surprise for people.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, just something, even if it's small, just so you can get involved from the beginning. Yeah, to use the network. I like that. So Cool. Hey, if you guys are here and enjoying the stream, please do hit the like for us. We very much appreciate you being along for the ride. We had a couple more things we want to get into tonight. We're gonna see how long this next segment takes, and then I may see if we table the next one for next week because it might be a pretty heady conversation. But let's get optimistic here. Let's get bullish. Ewok is aboard the bull ship now. If you look back at our past streams, he wasn't for a little while. He's full bull mode now. Okay, he's ready for the bull market. And we're going to talk about our top of the bull market price calls for some of the biggest tokens or any ones that interest us. So we're not talking this year. We already kind of talked about that. We both agree the BTC could likely get into the 40s this year, maybe hit up to 50K. But your realistic opinion, I'm not going to tell you to go optimistic, pessimistic. Just what do you think is going to happen, Ewok, with Bitcoin in this bull cycle? And for anybody new, 2024, 2025, that's when we're really expecting this bull cycle to be, maybe spill a little bit into 2026. What do you think we could be looking at as a high for BTC, knowing that many people thought we were going to get to a six-figure Bitcoin in the last cycle? We double topped at about 69K, and that's the all-time high. So where do you think we're going to be heading for BTC this bull market?
The full top, you mean?
The full top, yeah.
Full Monty.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to throw the number 147 out there. 147,000. I think we could. That's about almost a 2x, a little over a 2x from the last high. And this one we did about a 3.5. So I could see a 2x this time. So yeah, about 146, 147 is my guess.
I'm pretty much right there with you. Yeah, I could see, I would definitely expect a 2x off of the highs, but that neighborhood should tell you, and it's something that we've talked about too. That's why I don't really prefer to have any allocation to Bitcoin anymore. I mean, it's just not, if you are full blown crypto or somebody that's really looking for life-changing gains and generational wealth, I don't think it can be done with Bitcoin anymore, unless you're starting obviously with a very sizable clip.
Right.
And, are okay with, from this point right now, that'd be like a 5x or something, which, hey, I mean, that's terrific.
From right here. Yeah. That'd be a 5x, 4.9.
Right.
That's what I was just calculating.
Yeah. So that's still great. I mean, if you're comparing it to, 30 years of the stock market, which is like 8%, or like, I mean, I think it takes 10 years for a 2x if you just look at like standard stock market returns. So we're talking about a 5x in 2 years from this point right now. So, so that's it for Bitcoin. I mean, you're not going to see either of us really holding any in our portfolio, but hey, if you still want to and you're in crypto, more power to you. That's totally fine. Ethereum now this to me is a really interesting one because, again, I do think ETH is interesting because, everybody loves it. Everybody's obsessed with ETH. This is the last cycle was a big DeFi cycle, a big ETH cycle. We got, full-blown boners on Vitalik, which I know you didn't ever see before until a couple of weeks ago. We got Vitalik out on dates right now. We got all kinds of crazy stuff happening with ETH and the Shanghai and blah, blah, blah. So what are you thinking? Does ETH start to slow down this cycle with it being its third cycle now? Old people are going to start to think, hey, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're going to group them in there together. Maxis won't, but, some people will. So what do you think? I mean, are we just looking at like a 10K? That would only be about a 2x for ETH. Remember, it only got to about 4,800. There's a lot of people out there that are just throwing that 10K figure around, and I don't think they're realizing like that only is a 2x from the last high. So what do you think, Ewok?
Well, it's a 2.5x. I think it was about 4,400 was the top.
No, it was almost 5K. It was almost 5K. Yeah, like 4,800. I know because I bought it. So yeah, you trust me. It was definitely like 4,800. Yeah.
All right. Maybe not on Coinbase. It didn't hit that, but okay. Because I was just looking at the chart here. It looks like the top on here was about 40. There's 48. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. So I don't know. Ethereum's a tough one because of the gas fees. Once it gets to the bull market again, will those gas fees just be outrageous like they were last time? And it gets so expensive to transact that the network really kind of just slows down. I don't know. You almost want to see a 3.5x, maybe up to 12 or 15,000, I think. But then again, the gas costs, they have to do something to fix that, or I don't see it getting that high. I mean, that's their kind of Achilles heel there is the gas. So if they can address that and fix the issues, then I could see it running up to 15,000. But we might be at that point where it's approaching its top of the S curve as well. And we only get 10, 11 out of it.
It would be a letdown for people. I think it really would. I think people are really expecting something out of it, and they're going to be in for a rude awakening these next couple of years. I think when they realize that you're not going to see those same gains anymore. I mean, we've seen ETH go from $30 to $4,000. There's been crazy gains on in the past, but it's just not going to last forever. I mean, it still is one of the most popular platforms in crypto, obviously holds lots of different transactions and people build on top of it all the time. So much so that people have to build other layers on top of ETH. I do think it definitely surpasses 10K. I think being safe, I would probably say about 15K. There was a time when I thought it would probably go to 20K before. I think it could. I definitely think it could happen, but I'm with you. Yeah, like the gas fees, all these kind of, whether you want to call them competitors or helpers of ETH, and these layer 2s and other layer 1s that people can build on and stuff. But people still know Ethereum. People still want Ethereum. And I think there's probably going to be enough old money to get it into that 15K range anyway. So I'm gonna say around 15K for ETH probably at this point.
Yeah, fair enough. I remember when Hex launched, one Ethereum was about $80. So, and that was, the end of 2019. So, and again, if either of our predictions are right, we're between only a 5 and a 7x from here. So interestingly enough, that our tops from right here for both Bitcoin and Ethereum are really only about a 5x.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, and it really gives you perspective, because a lot of these other tokens that we talk about on here, primarily Hex, have a lot of room to run. I mean, all you have to do, you rotate out from Bitcoin and Ethereum into some of these other coins, and from where we are even right now, I think you'd be actually, I would say, conservative to predict a 20x on a lot of these, and more so be looking at about a 30x as we get into the bull market. But yeah, let's turn our attention to Hex. As we are here right now, we're at about 7.5 cents. Let's first off, I want to get your take, since we didn't do this with Hex earlier in the show. It's already been a crazy year for Hex. It's kind of front run the market in terms of like how high it's gone up. It hit its lows around Christmas, when everybody and their mother had a chance to buy, at about 1.8 cents. We already saw like a 5+X this year, because Hex had been up at 12 cents there for a short amount of time. Nice, healthy correction here. Frankly, great buy the dip opportunity, I believe, which I did do. But what do you think we could see with Hex this year? Now, obviously, we've got caveats. This isn't like anything else. We have PulseChain and everything we've already talked about on the show tonight. But let me get your official Hex on Ethereum, I guess we'll just say, for this year. And if you want to throw out there like when you believe that means Pulse is coming out and how much Pulse has to do with that, what are you thinking for Hex's high?
So do you mean this year or this bull cycle?
This year first, and then we'll do the bull cycle. Yeah.
By the end of the year, well, yeah, see, it's going to be, this is a hard one because of the fork and because you're going to get a copy. I don't know. I could say I think it would approach 25, 30 cents, but that's the combination of both chains. I think the combination of the two will get us there by the end of the year. Now, could that mean 12.5 cents on each one? Possibly. I do think we hit parity at some point. I don't know if it'll happen by the end of the year. It's really going to depend on how quickly Pulse comes out, to see if we can do that or not. But I do think they end up getting very close in price. And I could see, anywhere between 12 and 20 cents each for an average. So I'm thinking the combination of the two, we could hit 40 cents. So
I agree with. So let me give you this first off. So earlier today, I actually put a poll question out there. Just same thing we're talking about here. What's the highest price Hex will hit in 2023? Gave 4 options. Number 1 was the flaccid option. The it's already in, and 12 cents was the high. Then we've got 12 cents to 25 cents, 26 to 40 cents, and then I put 40 cents to potential new all-time highs. Which, if you're not been around that long, was about 53, 56 cents was the all-time high for Hex in September of 2021. The majority of people, 38%, said 40 cents plus into all-time highs. It was about split. Well, I'm not going to get into the rest. But anyway, the majority said basically 40 cents to all-time highs, which is basically the camp. I would put that you as being in that camp, Ewok, and I think that does make sense. Yes, I don't think that we would have 40-cent Hex on ETH and PulseChain. I don't believe that would happen. I pretty much agree with your scenario. Yeah, I could see us having 15, 20-cent Hex on both chains. So while that would sound like muted gains potentially for Hex this year, if you were getting tokens that were at one time valueless on PulseChain that are suddenly 15 cents, that's a pretty big deal, obviously. So,
right.
Yeah, I could see that. Now that's that. Now that's what's going to be so interesting. I mean, then we've got 2 more years of this bull cycle. People getting into PulseChain, people getting into Hex on PulseChain, people just discovering Hex for the first time. I mean, we still are at the infancy now of these bigger influencers. Ivan on Tech has been the leader, but we're already getting. I saw that Joe, although he's talked Hex before. I don't know if you know him. Joe, is it Paris or Paris? Parys, bald guy.
I know the name. I don't watch too much of his stuff.
Well,
so
I know. Crypto Coffee had him as a guest a long time ago. But yeah, I saw he's been talking Hex in his last couple of videos, and he seems to have a pretty big following. But we are seeing that. So give me your Hex, and let's just assume parity here. We'll just assume parity on the 2 chains. What is your Hex top of bull cycle call? Where do you think Hex can get to?
Well, I think maybe it was the stream that Coffee was on with us when I talked about it before. I think conservatively, $1.50 to $1.75 is manageable at the top of the cycle. But I could see things going out of control and us getting close to $5 each. So, that's where I think realistically it could, it could happen. But I think in order for that to happen, we're going to need some bigger whales to sell out a little bit, because the amount that they would hold at that point would just be ridiculous if that were the case. Or they have diamond hands and they're locked for 15 years. We'll have to see.
I kind of doubt that one, but that'd be interesting.
Yeah, because I know a lot of the whales don't stake like the smaller holders do.
Right.
So there would be a lot more liquid, and that's kind of why I'm hoping a lot of these guys dump it now so it doesn't hurt the price when it does go up. But I can see us closing in on a $4.50, $5 Hex as a rocket, put the moon pants on and go there. How about you?
Yeah, honestly, I fall right in line. Yeah, I think I really do think the most tepid projection would be about $1.50 or something like that. $1.50, $1.80, and then the high end $5, $5.50, something around that point, which would be a 10x off of the last all-time highs, the 550 anyway, and the 150 you'd be looking at about a 3x off of it. So, hey, I mean, here's the thing, that we've had so much time to buy at these depressed prices. I mean, Hex has been falling since September of 2021. I mean, it's been a long time here, a year and a half so far, and here we are sitting at 7 cents. So,
well, a
you
lot
know,
of times when you get a fall like that too, it makes the arrow kind of pull back a lot harder, and it makes the springboard when it does take off that much more accelerated.
right. Right. And, regardless of what anybody thinks, and I'm not saying that Richard Hart and the devs and all these people are not actually doing work to absolutely perfect PulseChain, but, I think you'd be a bit of a fool if you didn't think a little bit of market timing was going on here. And it's people might be sitting now like, oh my God, come on, he's going to miss the beginning of the run here and everything. And I get it, especially because there's other tokens launching and everybody and their brothers talking about Arbitrum right now and their garbage airdrops and all this stuff. But like, you still don't want to launch into uncertainty, and
Right.
like we've talked about tonight. I think we're mostly out of the woods. Things are looking very, very good here, but we still do macro wise. We think likely have one more rate hike coming. This is going to be a positive year. Just don't get over exuberant. And we're so close at this point now. I'm not calling any dates. Obviously, neither of us have any like concrete information or anything like that. But it this not launching until the second half of this year would make sense to me because, and I mean, that's not that far of a limb. That's only like 90 days away, really. But no, it could be before then. But still, to me, we're like definitively looking, and we just talked about it, the outline of the macro events. Like by that July 26th FOMC meeting, 100% we will know what trajectory we're going into, and it's likely going to be a good one. So that's probably even later than I think we'll know that information. But because that's only not even a little over 3 months away. So I think like I'd have to say 100% PulseChain is out by that time. I would have to say I'll just say August 1st of this year. I would really be surprised if it were not out yet. I really would be surprised.
Me too. I still think mid-May.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I mean, I favor more the spring, early summertime, but I'm just saying, like, as a worst case scenario, I would start to be like, I'm not really sure what he's waiting for. If we got to that August time for, you know what I mean? I would just be like, I think we're here. You're catching the wave, like the wind is in your sails. It would seem like a perfect time. And kudos to him for waiting it all out. I mean, like it's been said before, but if this thing would have launched at any point during 2022, or even maybe the uncertainty, we've only had most people come around to that we're in a new bull cycle like within this week, literally, because we just hit 30K. So right now we have just hit where most people think we're in a new bull cycle. And that's even with like some top influencer channels like Data Dash and a lot of people still, I don't really know what he's doing anymore, but like, acting as if things are bearish and stuff like that. There still are big people doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're there. And yeah, that's it for me. Now that we've kind of workshopped it tonight, I know this isn't saying anything crazy, but just concrete, I would be absolutely shocked if it were not out by August 1st. So
yeah, me too. I don't think that's a now you've got people really pissed off kind of date.
maybe because I mean, look at how many. I didn't even react to this. I didn't even think of it twice. I guess because I'm just kind of numb to it, and I'm not sitting here every day like my life depends on it. But when I saw the V4 announcement, if you will, I didn't even think anything of it. I don't even think you and I talked about it when it first. It didn't seem like an announcement to me. I didn't really care. And all these people started panicking and saying all this stuff, and it's like, dude. I understand why you care so much. Yes. I mean, it's going to be awesome. Hex is the best creation we've seen in crypto, but why don't you have anything else to do?
Right.
It's frustrating to me, but
yeah. And I think it was so close to the V3 launch is why I wasn't fazed by it. Now, if we had gone 2 months on V3 and then he said, well, now we're going to have V4, that to me would have been all right, man. What are we doing now?
But, I'm with you.
Because V3 had just launched a week ago, maybe a week or two prior, and that's why they realized some of the fixes that had to happen. Now we're going to V4 right away. I didn't think anything of it. So
somebody made a comment too that I agree with wholeheartedly. I think I sent it to you. If this was called version 3.25 or 3.5, nowhere near the vitriol. I don't think it would have just been like, oh, okay, well, there must just be a minor change. It was just because it was the number 4, I think, is the main reason people flipped out.
Yep.
So,
yeah. When V5.
Exactly. Yeah. When V5. So, any other tokens? I'm sure probably not. I don't think we need to necessarily guess PulseChain and stuff right now, but any other tokens that you want to throw any targets out on Ewok? I know you're not really somebody who looks at much outside of Hex, but any other predictions for the bull cycle?
I don't, but it'll be interesting to see what Icosa does, Hedron, those type of things. So I think we could hit 0.001 for Hedron, which would be pretty high. Now I know
I was waiting to see how many zeros you were going to go there.
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 zeros. I think we're at 5 now. So
yeah, we are.
I think we could get
that'd be a 300x.
Yeah, well, I think we could do that as long as so there's some perennial dumpers as well. Something else we didn't talk about, speaking of Steph, that Staker V2 is also about to launch for those who have iPhone. I think Android has been fully deployed. A lot of mixed emotions about that one as well. So that should be interesting to see when that comes out. But I think, and Icosa, I think it could hit a little over $1. It's right now it's 63, 64 cents, I believe. So maybe a couple dollars even on the next bull market would be nice to see that. So.
And you screenshot me earlier this week because we did talk a lot about the Staker app and a lot about Hedron and Icosa last week. But the current APY earlier this week was 400%.
Yeah, 400.
Icosa. Yeah, not Hedron for Icosa, but when you stake your Icosa for more Icosa and Hedron. But yeah, absolutely crazy. And those are definitely 2 to watch out for. It's not just Hex anymore. I think at the very least, Hedron and Icosa must be paid attention to if you're in the ecosystem. So I guess if I were just throwing out real quick, just 2 other tokens, non-RH, or maybe not 2, but a couple other tokens for the bull run. As boring as it is and as little as Gavin Wood or anybody really announces about Polkadot, I do know that they have some of the highest developer counts of any of these chains or anything. I think they're really building things. I don't think it's going to go away. So I could definitely see Polkadot get to like $200 or something. I don't know why I can't see it on this freaking, I'm using your coin paprika, but I'm not seeing it for some reason. So, but yeah, I definitely could see DOT going to oh, there it is. It's at 639 right now. I could see it going into the $200 range. Let's see, Chainlink. I think Chainlink actually could do really, really well this time. I mean, like nobody is really able to compete with them. Like they're an oracle that feeds data to all these other smart contracts. I don't think anybody can really compete with them. And they are one of the few of these tokens that the token is actually necessary. You have to buy the Link token to get the data that they have. So that's not the case with many of these. So that's a couple. I mean, like right now at this point, I mean, like you should be able to identify what's dead and what's going to thrive in the coming bull market. And we've talked about this before, but I don't think the old narrative of the layer 1s and the layer 2s, how many stupid layer 2s are we going to get hit with here to help out Ethereum? Optimism, Arbitrum, all this big money VC backed stuff. There's your coin paprika. I was seeing if there's anything else very interesting.
You're bullish on Tron, aren't you?
I love Tron. And you know what? Justin Sun just got arrested. That's extra bullish.
That's why I said that.
I was going to DM you. I forgot about that. It's still somehow 21 in market cap. It's up there. I'm bullish on Monero, Stellar. Just kind of a redux here. We're just basically...
Well, during the bull market, you could throw a dart at any of these coins and you'll probably get some gains. So it's not like it's going to be difficult. It's just a matter of which ones will accelerate toward the top, and you get the much better ones. Don't forget Shiba Inu. It did a 10,000x as well the last cycle. So it does happen with meme coins. It happens with Dogecoin took off as well. So it can happen with a lot of things. It's just a matter of being in something safe and the right thing. And that's why we like Hex, is because it does give you yield more of that coin for just locking it up, and you control the keys the whole time. So it's just got that added incentive to hold it. Not only does it get the gains, but you make more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, I think people look at, this is a whole conversation, but people look at hexicans and stuff as like these freaks in this cult. And that's because we are freaks and it is a cult, but it's also because of how great the product is. And to know that you're doing something DeFi and all you're doing is interacting with a smart contract. Do that a few times as opposed to the, non-crypto way of doing things, and tell me which one you like better. I'm just going to tell you now. It doesn't necessarily have to be Hex. We've talked about some other stuff on the show tonight too you can get involved with, but yeah.
Here, you can answer that one.
What was it? Zen on Pulse. Okay. Man, I have no idea. I mean, Zen will certainly be on Pulse because it's an ERC20 token, so it will be there. The only thing about that'll be interesting is there's not going to be like a self-inflicted, I guess you would say, launch, I guess, by Jack Levin. I mean, you'll just get the copy of Zen on Pulse. So I'll tell you what, I have no idea what to expect. And I haven't talked much Zen recently just because, I'll be honest with you, I can't keep track of anything that's going on.
There's too much.
There's too much. Somebody asked me the other day if I was still like bullish on it or what my outlook was from some of the videos I did before. I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, like, at least the chart has turned around some, and I know that he has the reflective token out now, whatever it's called, DB Zen or something like that. I know there's all kinds of things going on. All I did was mint out max term. So I have never even claimed any Zen yet. I mean, I still am waiting on those. So we're going to see. But I will say, I would think that Zen, it's all up to Jack. If he continues to do things to help the price go up, and the community, which I think is probably pretty strong, stays strong, I think it will do well. I would think that Zen would have a place on Pulse, though, just because so many people that love DeFi and love Hex also love Zen. Just happens to be that way. Don't shoot the messenger, Crypto 7. I'm just stating what I'm observing. So what do we have here? What's this question?
Crypto World he said, don't forget SEC still hunting to crash crypto. Yeah, I mean, we've got Elizabeth Warren. We've got a lot of people that are creating an army against it. So, we have to really still pay attention to the TikTok agenda bill, whatever they're trying to pass, because once again, I'll say it like I said last time, it's not about TikTok. It is about control. It is about them being able to censor the apps and things that they do not want you to access. There was an interesting article video that I sent to you, that
redheaded libertarian. Give me all that.
Yeah, and she was so spot on with what she said. In fact, I wish we could almost play it, but can we do that, I wonder?
Well, I don't think the audio would come through at this time, but
okay, yeah,
we're getting pretty late anyway. But yeah, we can. Well, you know what? I'll find it and I'll post it in the chat anyway. And not too bad to look at either. But let me go ahead and she's
anyway, her theory is that they're trying to shut down a lot of informational things because we're probably about to go to war, which is kind of scary in itself. But they don't want the U.S. citizens to be free thinkers. They want you to believe what you hear on the news, and they don't want us to gather together against what they're planning on doing. So, it's one of those things where I just hope it does not pass. I hope it doesn't get through. I hope the people that are in Congress and the Senate, hopefully they can vote this thing down and clean it up to where if you really want to get rid of TikTok, then pass a bill that says we're getting rid of TikTok. But to make it as vague as they did to cover everything, it's way overreach and infringing on so many of our constitutional rights that it's crazy. So that's all I have to say.
I just put the link in the chat for the redheaded libertarian, so check her out. But not for too long, boys. But yeah, there you go. So check it out. Yeah, good stuff indeed. She's actually on the Timcast, I think. I didn't realize, I didn't even really know who she was, but I think she's involved with Tim Pool and the Timcast anyway. I saw her on there. So yeah, Gary Gensler talking here. Yeah, the SEC is coming, but guys, don't get worried about this stuff anymore at this point. Like these headlines and these bullshit stories. I'm not saying that, there's going to be some kind of regulation somewhere down the pike, years down the road, and you're always going to hear horror stories. We are in another cycle now. Like every piece of news is not going to crash the market. I'm not saying it's going to just go straight up either, but don't be as afraid as you were in 2022. There's not as much to worry about,
But also don't forget that they could make things difficult for us, and we could go through some rough times. But I don't think it, they won't be able to completely eliminate it, or we'll be moving to a different country.
Yeah, and remember too, don't just be married to the action of your bags. I mean, understand the transfer of wealth that we have here going on over the next decade, why you're here. I'm not looking you in the eye and tell you that, oh yeah, I'm just in it for the tech, and I know you guys aren't either. But you have to really believe in the ethos of crypto and the self-sovereignty, and speaking of libertarianism and stuff like that. If those aren't your core beliefs, you're probably going to get shaken out a lot quicker. So if you really believe in that stuff, though, you'll know that there's going to be bumps and valleys and peaks in these next few years. We've already seen them. We've been through some pretty damn bad ones over the last year and a half. But hey, things are looking pretty good right now. So don't worry about every single SEC thing that comes along. So, yeah, this was a hell of an episode. We went longer than I thought we were going to here, and got to some really cool stuff. Ewok, are there any kind of parting thoughts that you have for the people?
One last thing. So this is episode 48 of our series here. 2 weeks I'll be away. I don't know if Mr. Broke Boy will do a stream the week I'm gone. But if not, and for episode 50, I'm thinking about doing a giveaway. So just a heads up for those that are, one of the rules will definitely be that they need to be subscribed to both of our channels. And I don't know how we'll do it, but I was thinking maybe 5,000 hex giveaway. If that falls before PulseChain, it could be 5,000 on each chain for you. So just a little something to drum up some viewers and get some subscriptions going, and reward you guys for coming in and watching, because we do appreciate it. And if we do add some value, just hit that like button for us and subscribe to both channels if you would.
We definitely do. It will be a prize definitely worth having too, with what Ewok told me it may be earlier today. So look out for that in a couple of weeks. And if you are still here, like Ewok said, hit the like. We do appreciate it. Subscribe to my channel, Broke Boy Crypto, as well as Ewok's. It is Crypto Ewok 5555. We do this every Wednesday. So if you are new here, Gabe, I don't think I really heard of you before, but some of you guys in the chat, enjoy you guys being here tonight every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be here again next week on the 19th. So until then, and for my co-host, Crypto Ewok, this has been Broke Boy Crypto. We'll catch you next week right here on the Creed of Crypto podcast. HexPassiveIncome.com. My friend Crypto Coffee has created what I think is probably the best course for a new cryptocurrency investor. Not only that, but these courses usually charge an arm and a leg. Crypto Coffee is only charging $200. I think right now he actually has a discount for $150. I have a link below in the description. If you are new to crypto, do not understand Hex and how it works, click the link below. It's a quick, easy course. He only gives you the basics. I personally myself have thought about creating an intro to crypto course in the past. I don't think there's any reason to do so because Matt Crypto Coffee has already taken care of that. And I don't think anything needs to be added by anybody else. So check it out. The link is in the description and sign up to Hex Passive Income today.